If anyone ever tells you that they've never made a mistake while investing in real estate, they're either lying or they haven't been doing it for very long. I've been investing in real estate for the last 9 years, and I can tell you that I've made a lot of dumb mistakes. In this video, I want to share with you two of my biggest mistakes, one involving tactics with regard to purchase of a rental property, and the other one involving my overall strategy. Although the tactical mistake involved an interesting story, it's the strategic mistake that had ended up costing me over $1 million. And I talk about it toward the end of this video. But hey, if we're just meeting, my name is Vitaly Volbov. I'm a practicing attorney, an active real estate investor, and the part owner of a real estate brokerage in upstate New York. On this channel, I discuss relevant legal concepts as well as best strategies and tips for real estate investing and personal finance. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that YouTube notifies you of all my future content. If you enjoy the content in this video, hit the like button and comment down below. So I'm going to share with you guys a clip of an interview I just did with Anthony Pasquarello. Anthony is an agent in my real estate brokerage called Serenity Real Estate Team, and he's also an aspiring real estate investor. Anthony had some really great questions for me during this interview, and this one in particular really got me going. Let's check it out.
What was your first big mistake that you had to learn from, like in real estate?
Great question. So I'm going to split it into two answers actually, because I think there's two really big mistakes that I can think of right now. And one of them is sort of like it's in tactics and the other one is in strategy. And I think those two are separate. So tactics wise, my first big mistake that I had to learn from and, turn it into a positive was, so after my duplex, I obviously wanted to continue to buy properties. And so duplex came in 2011. By 2013, I had some more money saved and I wanted to buy more. I wasn't trying to move out of the existing, that duplex that I was living in. So that means I had to get financing for a non-owner occupied property. And, we didn't get into all that, but the financing for non-owner occupied properties is very different than owner occupied properties. So I had to save 20%, 25% for something. So, obviously on the property let's say that's $100,000, 25% is $25,000. Plus you want to have, be able to pay for closing costs, and then you want some cushion because you're not spending all the money you have. So I searched for a while. The market was pretty hot in 2013, and I found this property that was actually two buildings on two separate lots adjacent to each other that were being sold by the same owner. And I was so gung-ho. I wanted to buy something right away and I couldn't find anything. It took me a really long time to find something good. So I latched onto this property or these properties, and it was a duplex and a little cottage, single family home. And people told me, my relatives, friends that saw the buildings, they were like, ugh, you really want to buy this? Like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah. Because, just them walking through it, they could see issues with it. But I was so blinded by it because, A, I was young. B, I thought I knew what I was doing already because I had a duplex, I'm a big shot now, I know what I'm doing. So I didn't listen, and I had the money, I had enough money to buy and, spend money on a rehab. So I had, a sufficient amount of money. And the property was, I think that their asking price was $114,000. And it was for two buildings, $114,000 for a duplex and a single family combined. So
that's not bad. Like,
that's money. Sure. Yeah, that's decent. That's very decent, even by today's standards. Or especially I should say by today's standards, because things have been more expensive up until now. But here are the issues with the properties. So first of all, the main house had foundation issues. The floors were heaved like this. So if you're standing in the middle of the room, you're probably about 3 inches below the corners of the room because of how heaved they were.
So when you're in the middle, it's like you're 6 foot, but on the edges, you're just normal 6'3".
That's right. Yeah. So that was one of the things. So poor foundation, really bad foundation. There were carpenter beetle issues that an inspector discovered. He basically took a screwdriver into one of the posts in the basement and goes, and then, the screwdriver's just poking right through. And he says, what this means? This means that this was dry rot and it was infested with carpenter beetles at one point. I'm like, okay, all right. And then he says, okay, you also see this in the ground. It was like a dirt basement. He's like, that's broken sewage pipe, like the cast iron chipped off or whatever. And he's like, it's not leaking right now, but like that could leak, And then there were other like open mains in the basement. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I'm like looking at the upstairs. I'm like, I can make $1,000 for this apartment. The upstairs apartment is already making 900, so I just need to remodel downstairs, keep the upstairs tenants there, and then the cottage is making me 700. So I'm just looking at the numbers, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, $2,600 per month. My mortgage on this, if I buy it I actually offered at 106,000, 107,000. That's what we agreed on. That was the agreed on price. So if I buy it at that price, and I put 25% down, and I get my broker's commission out because I was representing myself as the buyer, I'm doing great. The mortgage is like $450 and my income is going to be $2,600 from this. So even if I have to deal with some issues, and yes, okay, taxes I can pay, it's another few $100s a month, and insurance and I'm sitting pretty. I got $1,500 profit on this thing. So I'm not listening to the inspector. And then he goes,
there's beetles, but I can make 1,500. So
yeah. And then he goes and he shows me, here are the issues in the attic. Oh, and you have some electrical wiring issues, and you have some siding issues in the back. You've got birds nesting up top by the roof. You've got the back cottage. The roof is completely shot. They're telling me that the roof leaks every so often. So all these things, I'm just blinded to it. I'm not listening, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. I still go ahead and buy it. In fact, I just want to say the property was so bad that the first time around, the appraiser that came in failed the appraisal on it because of the issues that he could see with it. So like he took it back, he took pictures, did the appraisal, took it back to the bank. The bank said, you know what? We're not going to lend you on this. So the deal almost fell apart. And I was still so determined to make this deal work that I went to another bank, and I ended up renegotiating the deal with them. And the one smart thing I did with this, which is how I'm going to get to how I ended up saving the deal at the end of the day, but I ended up splitting because there are two, as I mentioned in the beginning, they're on two separate lots, two separate buildings. I ended up splitting the transaction where I was buying the duplex, the two family, separately from the single family. And I was using bank financing to finance that duplex. And for the single family, the seller and I basically I agreed to pay them $1,000 for it. Instead of including it together with the deal, I was only financing the duplex, and I was keeping the single family free and clear. So that proved to be a very important thing to do. But in the beginning, it was a bunch of heartache for me. Once I closed on the property, all kinds of things started going wrong. The property was flooding probably every other weekend, and it would always happen at the worst possible time. I bought it in the late fall, so we're talking over the winter months. So the property would flood, I think most of it was basically sewage or a water main backup. It was like a stream down there. And every time it would flood, it would knock out the hot water tanks, it would knock out the furnaces, and I would get calls from tenants and texts from tenants telling me that they don't have heat, they don't have hot water, we need to get this fixed, right? And this would always happen, like Friday night, I'm hanging out with my wife and her family, and I get these calls, and I have to call a plumber, figure out what I'm doing, run over there, try to relight the pilots in the dirt and the muck of a basement where I was just hanging out in a nice, chill environment, just hanging out with the family. I could just be chilling. And I'm working as an attorney meanwhile, things would happen where I'm at work sometimes and something happens and I would run over there in a suit, or I would have a change of clothes in the car. Sometimes I felt like Superman. I would just wear my Clark Kent suit, and I'd jump in my booth, my car, and then rip it off, and I'm wearing the dirty clothes, with the painter's overalls, jumping into a dirty basement. So that's the experience, and that's the thing that people don't get, and they don't expect that. And I'm not saying that everyone's going to go through this, but if you're getting into real estate, you've got to be really committed to be able to get through these tough points in your real estate investing career, to get to a point where you're not the person doing all those things, and you can reap the rewards and benefits of being a real estate investor. But for the first few first few months and years in that property, I spent a ton of money on doing the remodel, which, you start tearing apart walls, your contractors start tearing apart walls and floors, and this is rotted and that's rotted, and you have to replace this and that and that. And it just balloons, gets bigger and bigger. And, the property was a pretty shitty property, to be honest. It just, I probably should have never bought it, but I did, and I was stuck with it, and I was still determined. I said to myself, I don't care what happens. I'm not going to make this a failure, and I'm not going to let this stop me from achieving my dreams and what I wanted to do with real estate. And so I just toughed it out, persevered. I did what I could on my own when I could, sacrificing time with family and friends and having fun and enjoying myself on trying to make sure that this property worked out and that I didn't, go bankrupt or didn't lose a ton of money. But here's the bright side in this whole story. Yeah. The split of the two properties really was a smart decision. And I would encourage anyone, if you can see a deal like this, you want to try to structure it this way. Because I had only one property burdened with a mortgage on it and the other one being free and clear. Once I fixed up that property and I spent money on it, put on a new roof, did all kinds of things to it, I was able to then go to another bank and refinance that property and pull money out of it. And when I did that, I was able to pull, I think basically covered all my expenses for the duplex, that all the money that I put into the two family, fixing all the things up and improving it, I was able to get all of that money back out from the single family. And so it became basically almost a zero money down or zero money in to the deal type of a transaction for me, type of a purchase. So obviously that's a huge thing, right? So I had mortgages on both of them, but I had no money in it myself, and I was still making a profit from both buildings. And so then I had all my money back out. We're talking like, $60,000-$70,000 back out of it. And I was able to take that and spend that money on paying off my student loans. So wow. I essentially refinanced my student loans into a property that was cash flowing, and I refinanced it into a 15-year loan for where I ended up, I think the monthly loan payment on that is $350 a month, where I was paying probably close to $700 or $800 in student loans, not getting tax deductions, not making profit from it. Whereas now it's a $350 per month loan, and my tenants are paying me $700 per month. So I'm paying down the loan, recouping the equity, and it's not coming out of my own pocket at all.
Wow. So that was the most beautiful story I've probably ever heard.
so yeah. That's the tactics. Okay. I made a huge mistake with tactics on buying a property like that, not listening to people who knew more than me, thinking that I knew more than them. And the only thing that saved me is, perseverance, ingenuity, and thinking outside the box with splitting the deal. So that's the tactical mistake. Okay. The other mistake, and this mistake continued on for many years up until probably 2017, is thinking that real estate was my own thing. Like I had to do it all by myself, and that I was copping out if I partnered with someone, or I, was splitting a profit or splitting something that was mine solely because if I partnered with someone. And I had that mindset from 2011 to probably about 2017. And in 2017 is when I finally decided that maybe I should try partnering with someone and, doing some deals together with someone. And that was one of the best decisions that I made, since I started investing in real estate. And so I went from, I did 3 deals. I bought 9 units from 2011 through 2016. And then I bought, what am I at now? I bought 38 units since 2017 to the present. So that, and partnership was the main difference. That was the biggest catalyst. And what happens with partnership and why it's so important and why I think it's so beneficial to real estate investors is that you can trade off things that you don't like to do or things that you're not good at to your partner, who, if you're selecting a partner well, so find someone who can complement the things that you don't do well with things that they do well. So things that you don't do well, they can do well. Things that they don't do well, you can do well. And because you're combining your efforts, you actually you're not splitting the pie that's 100% into 50-50. You're actually increasing the pie. Instead of having 100% of the pie, now you have 300% of the pie, or 400%, or 500%.
You just made it bigger.
It's exponential. Yeah, it's exponential. And that mindset of, I need to do this by myself, I don't need anybody, not really partnering or leveraging with other people, was the biggest mistake that I made early on. Had I partnered with someone earlier, obviously someone like my current business partner, would have been ideal. He's got experience, he's got the charisma, he's got the people skills, all those different things. But even if it wasn't, even if the partner wasn't as good as the partner that I have now, partnering with someone really helps you, succeed and expand much quicker, and much more, safely with less risk. So that would be my very long-winded answer to your question. The biggest mistakes, tactics and strategy. Strategy being, don't do it alone. You should, if you can, partner with someone.
I hope you guys enjoyed that. One thing that I forgot to mention in my answer is that in 2009, 2 years before I started investing in real estate, my current business partner actually approached me and asked me if I wanted to partner with him. At the time, I wasn't really ready for real estate investing, and I certainly wasn't ready for a partnership. So I turned him down, and he ended up partnering with someone else. And the two of them ended up growing their real estate portfolio to over $2 million in equity today. Had I said yes to him in 2009, it would have been me owning 50% of a $2 million equity portfolio. Now, I don't really regret the path that I took to get to the point of where I am today, but I would suggest to all of you that if you get an opportunity early on in your investing career to partner with someone who's going to bring value to your investing business, they may want to seriously consider it. With that said, thank you for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed this video, if you got value from it, do me a favor and hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, definitely subscribe so that YouTube notifies you of all my future content. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.